is this? What is this? Why is this here? Actually, my husband found it on Buy Nothing St. Simon's on Facebook, and it was a friend who had posted it who wants me, and so he said, I'd like to get that for Holly, and she said, great, and so he went and picked it up and put it on the porch for me to find one day after school, and what a find it was. My goodness, it's such a beautiful big frame. I guess it's a chalkboard, but it doesn't look like it's been used much. It looks like it was from Hobby Lobby. It's got a couple of nicks that I'm going to try to just fix with antiquing wax, but it's a real sturdy piece. Now, I've been looking for something to put this on. I have had this decoupage paper. It's the Windsor Castle. It's a JRV paper. Now, of course, I would paint the black white so I could have it nice and bright. But I've been waiting to find something to put that Windsor Castle paper on. But as you can see here in a few minutes, I choose a different decoupage paper as I'm putting 3 coats of white acrylic paint on here. Oh, goodness. I was trying to use up this wicker white by Folk Art. And I'm telling you, it's a real testament to chalk paint. The acrylic paint just does not cover black as well as the chalk paint would have. But I was trying to use up, some stuff I had here, which I've been trying to do. And anyway, this took 3 coats. I tried to get nice up and close. It was, I probably could have taken it off, but it was kind of built in. The frame was meant to be a chalkboard, so it wasn't meant to be, the middle wasn't meant to take out. So it would have been a process. Okay, so now this is the German grain sack decoupage paper by Roycycled, and this particular Etsy seller has it on sale for a great price right now, and is on sale, looks like, till the end of the week. All right, so it was either do landscape mode and do Windsor Castle, or go portrait mode and do it up and down and put this grain sack and the grain sack one. Mainly because I wanted to have lots of space on my mantle, and I want this to go on my mantle for fall. So I decided not to do anything to this rugged, kind of rough frame, except for fix the little chips with some antiquing wax. But I wanted to be able to put lots of fall florals and some vases and some candles and all the things on the mantle. And so my mantle's not huge. It's not tiny, but it's certainly not huge. So if I would have laid this big chunky frame down in landscape mode, I would have lost a lot of space and area. So here we go with this gorgeous Roycycled paper. This paper fit almost perfectly. It was just, an 1/8 of an inch on all sides. And so when I put that first strip of Mod Podge down, I had to really pull and kind of pick up and yank and make sure that it wasn't going to go off-centered, especially since there's stripes on it. Oh my goodness, trying to do a plait or a stripe is always tricky, because if you get it ever so slightly crooked, it's it's not going to get better as you continue to do these little strips of decoupage. You can see there I'm using the matte Mod Podge, which of course is my go-to. It, as Mod Podge goes, is the cheapest, and I'm using a pretty good sized container there. So I'm making sure it's all down with my hands, and I'm going to come back later. Yep, I'm creasing it into the crease. So here I come. It's all dry, and I come in with a medium hot iron. My iron wants to run hot anyway, so I have to be careful turning up too high. No steam. And I've got a piece of parchment there, and I'm just going to run it over. Of course, this is sped up, so I am going slow. And there you can see where I have run an X-Acto knife. I forgot to film it. But at any little places that were difficult, I used my little nail file. Okay, now I'm going to crackle this. And I wanted to show you the 2 Mod Podges that have a gray label. One is Crackle and one is Super Matte. the easiest way to tell them apart is the super matte always has that sticker on top, and crackle doesn't. But of course the crackle has that gray label. It has a little crackly finish to it, and then of course when you're putting it on, it looks totally different because the crackle almost looks iridescent when you put it on. And I've used this Mod Podge crackle a couple times before, many times before, and I've always found that leaving puddles of this stuff is what you want, which is so backward from normal Mod Podge. You don't want to leave the puddles, you're going to get yucky stuff. And so this is right after I finished putting it on. It's starting to dry. It's going to take a long time, and I don't want to force it. It's so different. This crackle Mod Podge is so different from like doing, any kind of, what's that paint milk paint. You don't want to force it. And so there it is dry. You see all that sparkling? That's the cracks. So now I've got to put it in. I'm trying to show you. It's hard to show before I put in the antiquing wax where the cracks are, but you can see them there, I hope. Yeah, where the sparkly stuff is, because it dries very shiny. So I'm going to need that matte Mod Podge, that super matte, here in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take my Waverly antiquing wax. I'm going to water it down with about, half and half. And I'm going to put layers of this in because I want it really to bury and dig down into those cracks. But I don't want to leave a whole lot on the top. But of course I'll leave a little bit in the corner. So this is just a dry paper towel. And I'm really going to work it down into those cracks. And you can kind of see where it is. Yep, I'm taking a lot of it off. And so I'm going to do this, a couple of times, especially on the edges and in the corners. I'm going to leave it a little bit darker. But there in the middle, I do, I'm going to go over it once, and then I'll finish up, and then I'm going to go over it again. But, before it all sets and dries. So there I'm doing the extras on the corners, and I'm doing a little bit lighter touch there. And you can see some of the cracks are already starting to show really nicely as I, push this darkened wax down in there. And then if I got something a little bit too dark, I've got a baby wipe there, and I'm just going to lightly go over the top. If I thought something in the middle there got just a wee bit too dark, then the baby wipe will take care of that. I want to keep that antique wax in the cracks, but I lighten it up a little bit. It already had its own patina to it. And no antiquing wax is going to cover up the sparkle and shine of that crackle because it is glossy. So I go back over with this super matte. And I haven't found anything. The only thing that kind of rivals this super matte in that you don't, it truly is a matte finish is the Rust-Oleum Matte Clear Spray. And sometimes I just can't get out and spray. So it just makes sense to use that super matte. And I just love it. It won't show any, brush strokes or anything. It truly gives a matte finish. Now, in this case, I have a spotlight on this. It's right under the spotlight. So if it looks like there's a glare, it would have been super shiny if I had not put that matte Mod Podge on or the super matte. And I just love the way this decoupage paper looks with the crackle and with this rustic frame. And I just love it. Okay, now I'm going to do that little, see that vase there on the right with the silver dollars. And I'm going to upcycle this vase I've had for many years. I chalk painted it about 4 years ago. And it's been moved around the house quite a few times. I put different stems in it for the different holidays. And it did have forsythia in it. And that was what was in it upstairs in my bedroom for spring and summer. But it's time for a change. So I thought I needed something skinny right there beside that large frame. So I am going to use my coffee podge, and you saw I put the recipe there. It is the grunge mix that I got off of My Sweet Home Living, Tracy Campbell's page. She uses that grunge mix, I think, on everything, and it just makes everything look so primitive and cute. But I'm going to coffee podge. I use the grunge mix plus school glue and a little bit of Mod Podge. And I'm going to just dust all that coffee podge with cinnamon. I totally let it dry overnight. I'm knocking the cinnamon off. And I also did the same treatment to these leaves right here, the Harvest Decor from the Dollar Tree. And I did the same thing to them. Now, I tried everything on these leaves. I tried to try to make them look a little less plasticky and to try to, upcycle them a little bit. And I tried just painting them with coffee podge and seeing if that was good. I tried covering them with cinnamon. I tried rub and buff, my favorite antique gold and the Spanish copper. And my favorite thing that I did, in my next video, I'll show you my second favorite. But it also turned out great. But this is my favorite. Putting the cinnamon on those leaves, I just love it. Now, I haven't done the pumpkins and the acorns yet, but I got a feeling those acorns are going to get cinnamonized too. I don't know about the pumpkins, but definitely the acorns. Okay, and I just use it like glitter. I just, put it back in the container. I'm not eating out of this, of course. And so I'm going to do the bottom. Now, I tried to get it as evenly as I could before, but there were a few light spaces, and so I did do a little bit of touch-up, which I prefer not to do. I like to get it all in one, but, oh well. It looks fine. Now, the silver dollars are from Dollar Tree, and, Dollar Tree's fall florals are beautiful. They got a few new ones. Now, these were out last year. They're part of that long stem collection with the dark stems, the dark brown, and they're really, really pretty. I brought home all these colors, but I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to do to these off-white ones. They're all called silver dollars on their label, and I'm going to take some music. I have an immense amount of music in my piano room closet. I have a filing cabinet just full of old music. And I find it at thrift stores. And then people, if they're cleaning out their piano benches, they give it to the music minister and his wife who does crafts with them. And so I have tons of this. But I started off outlining this faux lemon because it's a little bit bigger than the silver dollar leaves. And I want to cut inside the lines. I traced the lemon with the pencil. And then I want to cut inside the lines because I don't want to see the pencil marking. And I started off tracing them on the first page, but the back was just the title page. It didn't have any music on it. So I went to the second page, which had music on both sides. So I didn't have to worry about, which side is which. I want to be able to see the music from both sides because I'm just going to make this little set of silver dollar stems a little more whimsical, a little more interesting. It's exactly the same color. I went through different books and different little octavos and things. And this particular collection from The King and I was the exact color of the silver dollars. So that's what I was looking for. Because some of my older music is really dark and patinaed. But this one was, just slightly. And so it just matched perfect. So I'm going to pinch it with a little pinch and put just a tiny bit of hot glue. And then clamp them together. Let that dry. And then I'm going to take that little, just ever so slightly. I didn't even draw any stems on or anything. I'm going to hot glue them with a very little bit of hot glue to the intersections of the stems, just to give it a little bit more, bulk. I think that's the wrong word, but just a little more fullness in the stem. And I think that's going to be the perfect thing on the right side of my frame on the mantle. So there we go. Let's take out his little hair rollers there, her little clips. And I just go through, and I think I put 5 little music leaves on each stem and kind of spread them out, not evenly, but evenly. I just wanted it to look a little bit random. And then there I am knocking off that extra cinnamon. I'm tapping it and rubbing it. I want to make sure, but I don't want to dull it with any kind of sealer per se. It's going to just be inside. So I'm going to tie it off with some snipped and ripped muslin that I have coffee dyed with coffee podge and set outside to dry. And those cut edges we're not going to do. I had to fray those. you know, make those look like they have always been there. Now, my stems wanted to lean. This is a slim vase, but they still wanted to lean. I did 4 stems, and so I'm going to put them down into some rice, but they still wanted to kind of lean forward, and so I'm going to just kind of turn it and put a little bit of rice all the way around. And so now they're going to stand up nice and straight, and I think those little touches of the music, it just makes me happy. I like that little bit of whimsy. Our little cinnamon sitting on a little wooden pedestal there with some of my jars I made a few times back, and my little lantern. I just love how that looks with that rustic charm. You can see the leaves that I've sprinkled about on the mantle. I stood some of them up and just kind of made them look a little random with my little vintage spools. And those wood vases I got at the Restore a couple years ago, they were cracked, but I don't mind. I'm putting faux stems in them anyway. Those are the silver dollar, the orange ones. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a great day, and I will, God bless, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.